Good day everyone and welcome to Posers Movie Recap. Our story today is about a grieving widow who, after she lost her husband in a drunken driving accident, struggles to manage crippling grief, a full-time job, and parenting her teenage daughter. When a family friend reveals a time-bending device that can undo the past, she grabs the opportunity without considering the repercussions of her actions. The film opens with a woman named Sophie, who wakes up from a dream when her husband Malcolm is still with her. She is currently working in a nursing hospital, while taking care of her young daughter Riley. Sophie receives a call from Riley's school, who informs her that Riley has been suspended again for her misconduct. She calls Murdⱻr:ær, her husband's best friend, and asks him if he can pick Riley up at school, as she cannot be able to leave her work early. Later, Sophie talks to her lawyer and complains about the injustice, where the drunk driver who caused her husband's demise has gotten free. At home, she finds Riley taking photos of some of her toy collection, wanting to sell it online to make some money. Sophie reminds her not to skip school, but Riley says that she's going to repeat the year anyway, since her dad is not around anymore to teach her science. Murdⱻr:ær tries his best to give Sophie the moral support that she needs, but Sophie still struggles between grieving, taking care of their financials, and raising Riley. Riley is suffering too by the loss of her father, refusing to talk to her mother and shutting everyone out. Murdⱻr:ær shares that he too lost his family years ago, when his father's rival concocted a lie that caused his family to be taken away. He was just lucky because he was at school at the time, but even though years have passed, he still dreams of saving his loved ones. One day, Murdⱻr:ær shows a device to Sophie, which is supposed to be a time machine. He explains that he tries everything to make it work, as he intends to go back to save his family. But instead of creating a working time machine, the device is only able to finish off someone in the past. It can only go back for a few years, which is not enough to save his family but can save Sophie's husband Malcolm. When Sophie gets home, she looks around the house thinking about the possible opportunity to get her husband back. She drives to the house where Mal's murderer lives, and watches the man named Darby as he drunkenly harasses his wife. The next day, Sophie goes back to Murdⱻr:ær's home, finally making up her mind to try his machine. As Murdⱻr:ær calibrates the device, he explains how it works like a particle accelerator, which can affect the atomic world and send an abstract particle to a specific point in time. Sophie listens to Murdⱻr:ær, even though she has no idea what he is talking about. After he finishes setting up the machine, they look for a clear photo of their target from his social media account, and set the time and GPS coordinates on the device. Murdⱻr:ær further explains that once he starts the machine, there will be no going back to undo it. Darby will be dead, and in return, her husband will be alive in the present. Sophie is intent on trying Murdⱻr:ær's machine, and at the moment, she only cares about getting her family back. She presses the button that will activate the device, and afterward, Sophie is disappointed because it seems that nothing has happened. Extremely upset, she rushes outside to go home. Murdⱻr:ær follows and explains that the effect might take some time, but Sophie is too upset to listen and tells him that she doesn't want to waste her time anymore. As she turns around to walk away, Sophie accidentally drops her phone. When she picks it up, she sees an incoming call from Malcolm, but unable to answer because her phone is broken. She then receives a text saying that Mal is at the park, so she runs fast to see if her husband is really back in their lives. She's almost disappointed when she doesn't find her husband when she arrives at the park, but gets shocked and Mal approaches her from behind as if nothing has happened. Sophie is so happy and emotionally embraces Mal, but the man has no idea why his wife is acting like she hasn't seen him in a while. It seems that it's just Murdⱻr:ær and Sophie who remember Malcolm's death, and Sophie is just thrilled that their life is back on track. Meanwhile, Murdⱻr:ær continues his research about his machine, while Sophie tries to catch up with what she missed during the time gap between Mal's death and the present. Eventually, Mal notices the changes in Sophie and asks her about it, but Sophie tells him that she just wants to cherish her time with him. At work, there are also some changes that Sophie doesn't remember due to the time gap, but she tries to adjust and just go with it. Later, Mal confesses that he has been secretly working with Murdⱻr:ær on the time machine for 3 years, and Sophie informs him that she knows about it. Mal asks her how she knows, as Murdⱻr:ær is not supposed to tell her about the device. Not knowing how to answer, Sophie admits that Murdⱻr:ær helps her to get him back, because Mal has perished from a car accident. She cries as she explains what has happened in the last 8 months while he was dead, and when she gets the opportunity to get him back, she takes it even if it means that they have to kill the man who caused Mal's death. Sometime later, the couple meets up with Murdⱻr:ær, and Murdⱻr:ær proposes to use the machine to save somebody else's life. They argue about the morality of ending someone's life, but Murdⱻr:ær explains that they will be finishing off a person who doesn't deserve to live. As Sophie thinks back on what they did to the drunk driver, she starts researching what has happened to his family. She learns that his wife has gone broke after her husband died, and Sophie decides that she wants to help them somehow. Despite Murdⱻr:ær and Mal's advice not to do it, Sophie starts secretly following Kara, Darby's wife. She learns that she now works in a diner as a waitress, and befriends her by pretending to be Darby's old friend. Sophie also finds out that Darby never became an alcoholic in their new timeline, which increases her guilt about eliminating the man. Meanwhile, Murdⱻr:ær continues along with his plan to finish off a person that he thinks deserves to die, as this man has already killed 3 people in the past. Sophie carries on with her communication with Kara, and invites her to dinner with her family. Unaware of what Murdⱻr:ær has done, Mal exchanges theories with his friends on how they can use their machine without the moral cost. Mal wants to consult a friend who works in the science department of a university, but Murdⱻr:ær refuses to reveal their invention to others. When Murdⱻr:ær finds out about the dinner with Kara, he's upset that Sophie didn't inform him about it. During the awkward dinner, Sophie tries to make Kara and her daughter Aggie feel comfortable with them, but the strangeness of the dinner's purpose still lingers. In the end, the dinner is still a success since they all get to know each other, but Sophie still feels extremely guilty, especially after learning that Kara lost their house and bake shop to be able to afford Aggie's treatment for multiple sclerosis. The guilt continues to plague the trio, causing Mal to get involved in helping Kara and find that someone had swindled her big time 13 years ago. They discuss that by eliminating the swindler, Kara will be able to get back what she lost and afford the treatment for her daughter. Murdⱻr:ær initially refuses as he doesn't want to finish off someone for stealing, but Mal explains that the guy has died in jail, so technically, they will just shorten his life. Sophie argues that if they changed Kara's life from 13 years ago, it might change her life with Darby, and she didn't want to take a chance of losing Mal again. They hit a snag when they realized that the machine could only go back up to 8 years, so they had to find a way to extend the range if they wanted to go on with their plan. Murdⱻr:ær reveals that he had used the machine without their knowledge, saving 26 children from a shooter 8 years ago. Mal and Sophie are upset with Murdⱻr:ær for going behind their backs, but Murdⱻr:ær explains that he just wants to save other people. He adds that he made the machine to try to save his family, but since he cannot be able to go back that far, he will settle on saving those that he can. Later, Sophie picks up her daughter to go bowling, where Riley invites Aggie to join them. While at the bowling alley, Aggie gets sick and they rush her to the hospital. Aggie is in critical condition due to a lack of proper treatment in the past. Because of this, Mal and Sophie decide to go on with their idea, and go to Murdⱻr:ær to let him know of their decision. Murdⱻr:ær informs them that there is no guarantee that it will work, since it's too far in time to affect the present. The two men start recalibrating the machine to be able to go back 11 years in the past, while Sophie tries her best to help Kara. After some time, the time-killing machine is finally ready, so they proceed to set the time and coordinates that they need. Sophie volunteers to press the switch, since she feels she owes Kara and her daughter for what they did. Later, they visit Kara's bake shop and are happy to learn that she's successful in her business. Without the man who swindled her, Kara is able to grow and keep her bake shop from the past. After they leave the bake shop, Mal and Sophie attend a birthday party of Riley's friend, but when they arrive at the location, the couple notices that their daughter is not around. They ask the host if she has seen Riley, but the woman doesn't recognize them and she doesn't know who Riley is. The couple starts to think the worst and look at each other, so Sophie rushes home to check for their daughter, while Mal proceeds to look for her at school. Sophie is relieved to learn that Riley is in a show, and immediately tells her husband. When they both reach her school, they are shocked that Riley isn't really Riley because their daughter is replaced by a son. When the boy leaves, Mal and Sophie argue about losing Riley or changing her. They feel strange because the pair don't know their new son, and when it's time for the show, Sophie learns that she needs to participate because it's a mother and son act. Since Sophie doesn't know this new timeline, she fails to remember her line while on the stage, causing her new son to become upset. Meanwhile, Murdⱻr:ær visits the couple's home, and when the male Riley finds him, he treats Murdⱻr:ær as an intruder. When Mal and Sophie arrive, they tell him that Murdⱻr:ær is a family friend, and the boy is bewildered to learn that her parents know him. Sophie tells her husband that they need to talk to their son, so she knocks on his room and apologizes for what happened at school. When Riley doesn't answer, she goes to her room and looks at the old family albums. While staring at the photos, she feels like she's looking at a stranger and remembers the female version of Riley, which makes her cry. After composing herself, she talks to Mal and Murdⱻr:ær about changing something in the past. She admits that she was wrong in her decisions because the boy that they have right now is not really their son. She explains that the boy needs his real parents, and since they are a stranger to him, they cannot fulfill the role and it's not fair for the kid. She proposes to save Murdⱻr:ær's family, which means that if they are successful, Murdⱻr:ær will never have to invent the time-killing machine. This will undo everything they changed, but the consequence is that they might lose Mal in the process. Sophie and Murdⱻr::r are ready to accept this, but Mal initially refuses as he thinks that the risk is too high. He eventually relents for the sake of his daughter, and the couple takes a trip and enjoys each other's company. Later, Murdⱻr::r asks them to go so they won't be able to remember the old and new timeline when he uses the machine. As Murdⱻr::r sets the device, Mal and Sophie express their love, as this might be the last time they see each other. She tells him that she's sorry for what she has done, but Mal answers that there is nothing that she needs to apologize for. As the scene shifts, Mal and Sophie are gone from the sidewalk, meaning that Murdⱻr::r has changed the timeline. Sophie is seen driving, and when she reaches home, she opens the door and the scene fades into white. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. You can also hit the notification bell and like the video to help the channel out. Thank you.